slowly packed up my bag, went downstairs, changed my shoes, and walked outside, where Michael approached me. Want to take a walk? Alright. We walked out the school gates and headed for my home, although it was clearly out of Michael's way. That meant he wanted to talk about something. Something that wasn't meant to be heard by anyone else. Go ahead, don't keep me waiting. Keeping up the same pace, Michael said, "What have you decided about Catherine?" "What about her?" "Nick, I'm serious." "So am I. I think I said everything clearly last time." "Then I didn't understand you." "That's unfortunate." "And still..." I stopped and sighed heavily. To be frank, the situation with Himitsu was much more important to me now. But then, why couldn't I give him a straight answer? Like Misha, you can have my Katya. May you live long and in harmony. Look, I'm grateful for your honesty, but my opinion doesn't matter here. It's important to me. In that case, I can only repeat what I told you earlier. It's none of my business. By trying to deny the obvious, you're letting me know how you really feel. I am not. You're starting to drive me mad. I am not trying to deny anything. Since when did you become a psychologist? If you really need Catherine, go and tell her yourself. She'd appreciate the courage, I guarantee that. Perhaps I will. Yeah, would you, please? I said sarcastically and walked away. However, Michael kept following me. Your house is in the other direction. I just want to do everything right. I know I shouldn't try and cut in front of you. The victor is always right. It felt as if I were pushing him toward Catherine. Even if I didn't want that, that's how my words sounded. You know what? Do whatever you want. Seriously, I don't care. Because either way, the result depends on neither you nor me. And I don't even know, or want to know, or want to imagine what's going on inside her head. Besides, I can see that you really have a crush on her. I've never seen you so anxious. I snickered. I think you can understand how I feel. I could before. What changed then? What changed? Everything did. It's quite logical that after many years of living together, some people begin to wonder how they even managed to fall in love with the other person in the first place. Catherine and I hadn't been married, but the analogy was still appropriate. Okay, I won't bother you any longer. He reached out and I shook his hand, a bit too firmly, then watched him for some time as he walked away. A train station appeared from behind the corner. Suddenly I felt extremely depressed by the thought that I had to sit in the house all alone until evening just waiting for Himitsu, pretending that everything was alright. And then I would have dinner with the fake smile on my face, speak meaningless words into the air, expecting equally meaningless answers. After hesitating a minute, I walked confidently towards the station. Many people like to pointlessly ride trains. If you look closer, you'll notice that every one of them has their own reason why. Yet this unique railway romance is the same for everybody. The feeling of an endless road, fellow riders you know nothing about, the absence of purpose, and more importantly, the absence of the need for one. New landscapes, new cities with old houses where different people live. I was more fond of walking, sometimes in unfamiliar places. But to be in those places, you need to reach them first. It's not always possible to do so on foot, as your immediate surroundings have been thoroughly explored already. Nevertheless, this time I got off at a familiar stop, that merchant district on the waterfront near the port. Why there exactly? I guess because this place had given me some hope. This is where I had met Ichinose, who knew at least something about the mysteries of my past and the dangers of the present. Was I really hoping to find the answers to the questions about my future amongst the tiny stores and fish smell? Merchants of all kinds were happily heading to and fro on the causeway, while others were soliciting customers to enter their shops, right in the middle of the road. Children were playing with a ball, paying no attention to the shouts and threats of the local old ladies. The cacophony of ship sirens and the roar of turbines could be heard coming from the port. Perhaps that was exactly the reason why I came here. To get a taste of a life that was totally unfamiliar to me, fill my lungs with salty sea air, and feel the sting of the cold winter's wind. To be among people without being a part of the crowd, to observe their daily lives. It seemed to me that few people would find this interesting. Why would you want to watch others' boring lives when you had enough problems of your own? Was that woman selling fish a celebrity? Or was that hunched old man pushing an empty trolley a famous athlete? It was unlikely that any of these children would become legendary football players. I knew all that, yet I seemed to envy their simple pleasures and, in a way, more peaceful lives. Yeah, I could hardly picture myself waking up at the first light every day to pick another batch of fresh fish at the port to sell later. Carrying a dozen kilograms back and forth, then handle some other undoubtedly important things until evening. but I was somehow confident that none of them were experiencing any of my problems. The love, the spying, and this fascinating introspection. And I was envious of them, with an admiring rather than hateful envy. But it didn't make me feel any better. What a coincidence. I expect to see you here. Somebody called out to me as I sat on a bench. Wait, Arena? I saw it was yellow, so I gave it Ellie's voice. Is that Arena? There's something wrong with the voice, although it sounded familiar. Right. It spoke Russian. Yeah, okay, it was Arena. After a moment, Irina Mostovaya appeared from out of the crowd. I doubt this is a coincidence, although I have to admit I am surprised. There was no fear. We were in a public place, and Irina seemed to have come just to talk. Surprised I'm talking to you just like this in the middle of the day. Well, yeah, sure. Don't worry, nobody's been following you. She sat down next to me and calmly looked around. Except for me. On the other hand, she could know that I had met with Ichinose here, which wouldn't be the best state of affairs. Well then, you must be doing a better job in the corporation. You must be asking yourself how much we know by now, right? Well, we are aware of the fact that you went to the village to see Ito Ryunosuke's parents, and returned suspiciously early. You didn't even stop by for tea. She smirked, but her eyes remained cold and emotionless, piercing, seeing that she saw no more of a human in me than Dr. Mengele did in his patients. I don't know what that's referencing. If you know everything already, what's this conversation for? At least it seemed that she wasn't aware of my meetings with Ichinose. We have a business offer for you. One I won't be able to reject. It's always up to you, but you need to consider the possible consequences. So we're asking you to collect as much information about Ito as possible. Documents, papers, any valuable data in any form. Perhaps you might overhear something. In return, we will ensure your protection, and, if needed, can even take you to the USSR. Sorry, but I'm not signing up to be a spy. Nikolai, you've been in the game ever since you came to Japan with your parents. Doesn't matter if you wanted it or not. You know the saying, there are no former Chekists. But I'm not even a former... We can give you some time to think about our offer. Why? To choose between a firing squad and hanging? I grinned sadly. Why the fatalism? Because! I ground my teeth and frowned. I could just strangle her here, right now. Go to the Japanese prison and be safe there from all these bloody spies and counter-spies. In return, I'd like some answers. Ask. Why do you even think I might be able to find anything at all? I doubt Ryunosuke-san keeps important documents where I can see them. That's what you're going to find out. What exactly should I look for? Any information that might seem interesting. If I could tell you more, I would, but unfortunately, Nikolai, I don't know any details. I get it. You lose nothing by risking me. Do you think it would be so easy for him to get rid of you after all these years? Which brings me to my second question. You must know that he has a daughter, and we've known each other for a lifetime. Is Himitsu somehow involved in all this? It was the first time during the whole conversation that Irina's expression grew serious. We don't know anything about that. But you can't exclude the possibility. With matters as serious as this, I can't exclude the possibility that even Ito's cat might be involved. How does she even know they had a cat? Are you sure this is an appropriate time for jokes? I'm not joking, Nikolai. So what have you decided? What have I decided? If I were to agree, I'd be doing the same thing Himitsu had done to me. I guess it would be best to tell her everything as soon as possible. However, by doing so, I would drag her even deeper into all this. I'd be subjecting her to real danger. At the moment, Himitsu was mostly just her father's tool, but if I agreed to the offer, she might also become of interest to the KGB. But on the other hand, if I were to find something, it would be the first time I'd have my hands on something valuable, and my importance in the eyes of the KGB and the Japanese intelligence would rise dramatically. It's probably too early to say that I could try changing the rules in my favor, but in the end, it could ensure not only my safety, but also Himitsu's. I'm ready to try, but I can't guarantee any results. I hope you realize that. Of course. Irina's lips stretched into a smile so fake that it made me shudder. What's important is that you do your best. But if it doesn't work out, let's not think about the worst in advance. I wanted to say that wasn't an answer, but stopped myself. Would whatever it was that I might hear make me feel better? Besides, it was foolish to expect she'd tell the truth. We will kill you if you don't manage. What, like that? No. Your words aren't exactly encouraging. I just want you to understand how serious the situation is. I do. better than anyone. Attaboy. See you in a week, same place, same time. She stood up, gave me another fake smile as a farewell, and disappeared into the crowd. Yeah, today's walk sure turned out to be productive. I returned home a bit earlier than expected, before dinner, and thus had some time before HIMITSU'S arrival. That conversation with Irina on the waterfront left a bad aftertaste. She made me an offer I quite literally couldn't refuse. I wasn't even worried about myself, as it couldn't get any worse for me anyway, except maybe that I had just taken a few more steps toward a miserable end. Why did I even ask about HIMITSU? They could use her. They could have done so before too, probably, but for whatever reason decided not to. The front door opened with the same sound as usual. It wasn't slow or fast, the way she alone could, while I would regularly slam it without even meaning to, just paying no attention.
Nika-kun?
HIMITSU called from the hall. I'm here. She entered the kitchen, gave me a somehow detached look, and started taking groceries out of the bag. How are you?
Fine.
HIMITSU replied briefly, her attention focused on cooking. I mean, how's everything with... For the life of me, I couldn't recall what she was going to do after class. With this...
School festival?
Yeah, right, school festival. How's it going?
Fine.
She replied in the same dry tone. It was weird. She didn't seem to be particularly upset in the afternoon. You won't even ask me how my day went?
Is there a point?
I don't know. You usually ask.
And you usually don't reply or come up with excuses.
I had no retort, as I wasn't ready to tell her about Irina's offer.
Would you say I'm wrong?
Well, I wouldn't be so harsh.
What else do you expect, Nika-kun?
HIMITSU stopped peeling potatoes and finally looked at me.
You accuse me of something I didn't even do, but you hide things all the time yourself. You lie to me.
Despite the contents of her words, her tone was relatively calm. I was mostly hurt by the fact that HIMITSU had never accused me of telling lies directly before. At least, like this. I don't lie to you. I'm not accusing you of anything.
Yeah, right.
She sarcastically flung her arms up in the air and returned to peeling potatoes, cutting a solid half of a tuber with each motion. Are you really trying
to deceive me, or just pitying me?
HIMITSU switched from Russian to Japanese, something that didn't happen to her often when we were alone.
Do you think it's easy for me? Do you think I asked my father to put me in a situation like this? And now it turns out that you don't trust me, and you even seem to have reasons for that? And Nika-kun, think about my feelings. You're accusing me of something that isn't even my fault. Not out loud, maybe, but you think it. I didn't want things to turn out like this, and I can't fix them myself. Do you understand?
I was expecting her to start crying, but she continued in a firm and confident tone.
Tell me honestly, what's going on?
What do you mean? I asked, surprised.
You know what? I know you've been hiding something from me. I know that in different circumstances you wouldn't have told me anything at all. Nika-kun, I'm not a little girl anymore. You don't need to protect me. I love you, and I want to be with you in happiness and sorrow.
There could be no doubt that she was speaking sincerely, and I felt pained and disgusted by the fact I hadn't told her about the meeting with Irina and many other things. But on the other hand, I just couldn't. I physically wasn't able to. My mouth wouldn't let me do it. All the words were getting stuck in my throat. Maybe I really was too protective of HIMITSU, but it was all for her own good. And how would it sound? I was asked to spy on her father and was considering if I should agree. I've already told you everything I know, I replied quietly, lowering my eyes.
Oh, that's it then.
HIMITSU said coldly and grabbed a plate suddenly.
That's it?
She threw it to the floor, immediately grabbing another one. Oh. Oh. Hey. Ooh. HIMITSU'S hulking out, buddy boy.
So that's what all your talk about love amounts to.
Ding. Glass shards scattered all over the place.
Why did I ever think that you were trying to protect me from something?
Another plate broke into pieces.
Maybe you just take me for an idiot and don't want me in your way.
And another one. Sunshine, that's enough already, I said impotently. My whole body seemed to turn to jelly. I couldn't even find the energy to stand up.
That's all you can say?
There were no plates left, and HIMITSU was standing, breathing heavily, looking at me with eyes full of resentment. I really don't blame you for your father, and I reacted like this at first, well, because it was too sudden.
And how do you think I felt? He's my father.
Sorry, I babbled. I was disgusted by my sudden indecisiveness and softness.
I see you don't trust me.
I mean, you did just freak the fuck out and start breaking all my plates. That doesn't really build up a sense of trust, you know? That doesn't really reassure me that I can put my trust in you when, you know, you lose your shit and start breaking all my silverware, you know? Like, maybe don't do that. Like, sure, pop off, get mad, yell in his face, call him an asshole, say, hey, fuck you, you're a prick. Like, sure, but when you start breaking all my shit, it's like, ah! I'm not gonna, like, spill my guts to you now, you know? She took a few steps toward me, but in the end, sunk heavily onto a chair and turned away.
I can't keep this up any longer, Nico-kun. Your parents, the corporation, my father, Caddy-chan. I just want to be with you. But if you don't trust me, if you don't need me...
Himitsu, wait, calm down. I need you.
In that case, it's a pity you do everything possible to prove the opposite.
I stood up and was about to approach her, but Himitsu jumped away immediately.
I should go. I hope you'll be able to handle dinner by yourself.
I mean, I would, if I had any fucking plates left. But wait, my plates.
I need to be alone.
Yeah, but I need plates. I decided not to stop her. She might break more things if I did. Perhaps that was for the better. I didn't need those plates anyway. If nothing was to tie us together, she'd lose all value in the eyes of Japanese intelligence and the KGB. The next time I would tell Irina that I wasn't going to spy on anyone. Let the responsibility for my own decisions lie on my shoulders only. I was twisting and turning in my bed, trying to fall asleep to no avail. What I was so afraid of had finally come to pass. Himitsu finally broke down. Not even because of my attitude toward her, but rather due to my clumsy attempts to protect her. So stupid. So silly and funny, like in a bad tragic comedy. While I was running back and forth between her and Catherine, not giving a damn about her feelings, everything was normal. What did I do wrong in the end? I could feel a lump in my throat, all my memories of Himitsu from our childhood days till the most recent times passing before my eyes. I felt ashamed to lie to her, but now, more than ever, I had confidence in my decision. Let her resent me, stop talking to me, become distant and forget me. That would be for her own good. I definitely see the line of logic there. She can't be a tool used by her father if she doesn't actually have a relationship with Nico anymore. It's definitely not the worst line of reasoning to go down. Are you okay? It's always seemed a weird and unnatural question to me. Especially in American movies, when a character might get his arm ripped off and his partner, with an expression of genuine concern on his face, would wonder whether that character was doing okay. Couldn't be better, goddammit. But thinking about it, what does okay mean in our lives anyway? Oh god, we're getting real philosophical, huh? You can only define it relatively. For instance, if I had my arm ripped off, it at least wouldn't be my head, so compared to the worst possible situation, I'd be relatively okay. Yesterday I lost Himitsu, but at least I was still alive. So in comparison with the worst situation, I was doing okay. Although, who needs an okay like this? I had fallen asleep pretty late, around 4 in the morning, but was woken up by the usual sounds of cooking in the kitchen. Was Himitsu cooking breakfast after everything that happened the day before? I quickly got dressed and ran out of my room. It isn't Himitsu. But the person standing at the stove was... Okay, I'm trying to... Potentially Kagome. She's the only one I know is like a genuine cook. Otherwise, my thoughts thinking like maybe Ryunosuke decided to come over for a visit. That's not what I was expecting at all. Okay. I'm thinking like, okay, where are we gonna go with this? And literally like the last note I was expecting, oh hey, Catherine. Good morning. I was about to wake you up. How'd you get in here? I asked gloomily and leaning heavily against the door frame. Come on now, is that how you're going to start such a wonderful day? It certainly wasn't wonderful for me. Catherine's presence didn't change that in the slightest. How did you get in? I've been to your place more than once, remember? Nothing has changed since then. Indeed, sneaking into the garden from the street wasn't difficult. Neither was opening the door to the kitchen, if one knew how to. Katya did. Maybe I should have been worried about burglars, but I had nothing valuable in the house, and it didn't look very interesting from outside. What if I called the police? Go ahead. Would be a good idea after yesterday's slaughter. She smirked, stirring something in the pan. What slaughter? I asked, genuinely surprised. Don't worry, I've already cleaned away the shards. It's just, what are we supposed to eat off of now? Well, there's no getting out of this. I don't want to talk about it. Of course you don't. She smirked slyly. By the way, I didn't know you could cook. Try to change the subject. Just because I never cooked before? Well, naturally. Well, I couldn't, but I learned how to over the past year. When you're on your own for a while, even pizza gets dull. Perhaps I would have learned how to cook as well if Himitsu weren't around all the time. So you broke into my house, even at an ungodly hour, solely to show off your cooking skills? Well, we've known each other for a while. I know you're having a hard time. As if you care. Of course I do. We're friends, aren't we? Kaji seemed sincere, but I still couldn't believe her words, so I decided to change the subject a bit. What if Himitsu came now? Will she? Catherine smiled opaquely. After yesterday's... What is it about yet? Whatever. I didn't want to talk about this, especially with her, so I just sat silently and waited. The meal I eventually received, something resembling a stew, tasted pretty good, and felt much more Western than what I was used to eating. But you couldn't make this sort of thing in half an hour. When exactly had Catherine arrived? It's good, I said, trying to make it sound as if I were merely being polite. Not any worse than Himitsu's. Why are you starting this all over again? What's wrong with what I said? Nothing. You don't want to talk about her? I don't, I snarled. What, trouble in paradise? You two had a fight? Nah, I broke those dishes of my own volition because fuck plates, they're overrated. Honestly, it's none of your business. I looked at Katya and felt nothing. Yes, I was happy for the tasty breakfast and the fact that she had come over, but on the other hand, I would have felt just as comfortable alone. Well, as you wish. You don't need to tell me, but I will find out anyway. From your mom and her spy network. Catherine pulled a long face and stared at her plate. Doesn't feel nice when somebody hits your sore spot, does it? Why do you think it's a sore spot for me? I think we've already discussed it and figured everything out. After the real truth about Himitsu's father and the KGB's ultimatum, the whole situation with her mom seemed, if not a stupid misunderstanding, then merely a trifle. Then I understand why you're here even less. Don't tell me it's that you're just worried about me, for God's sake. Fine, I won't. Boy, what if that's true? I gave Katya a look from under my brows. She looked and behaved absolutely normal, maybe a little bit more polite, which in her case mostly meant less sarcastic. If that's true, thank you. You don't sound sincere. Don't know what to tell you. I wonder what would happen if Himitsu actually came. Look, thank you for the breakfast, and you kicking me out? She interrupted me flatly. I just need to get ready for school. I can help. I'll handle it. Okay, I'll do the dishes. What dishes? No need. Leave them. You're just gonna end up broken anyway. Don't you think it's at the very least rude to kick me out after I've been stuck at the stove for 2 goddamn hours? Catherine frowned and finally looked like herself. Do what you want. I went to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. Then I changed into my school uniform and returned to the kitchen. Catherine was sitting in her old seat, looking out into the garden with a bored expression on her face. The dirty dishes were where I had left them. Didn't you want to do the dishes? And you said I didn't need to. I see. Shall we go? She rose gracefully from her chair and walked to the hallway. I was definitely afraid that Himitsu would see us together. But I couldn't just push her out the house. She obviously wasn't going to leave alone.